Jason from Laundry List, and today we're in Mallorca, Spain. I thought it'd be interesting to document what happens when an unattended laundromat is left unattended by the owner for more than 8 or 9 days. How do you manage a laundromat long distance while still making sure that everything runs smoothly? Let's find out what happened as soon as I left my laundromat in Northampton. One good thing about our flight to Europe is it meant that the laundromat would be closed while I was in the air. Laundromat closed 1 hour before we got on our flight to Europe, but before the laundromat closed, I checked the security cameras just to see how things were doing, and I discovered that of my 2 change machines, the first change machine had a red light on it, which meant there was an issue with the change machine. Now, I do accept credit cards through the PayRange app, so it's not the end of the world if people can't get change, but it's definitely an inconvenience. I do have 2 change machines, so at least one of them was fully stocked and working. However, it's never great when you already have an issue before you even get on the airplane. The laundromat opened within an hour of when we landed, so of course I was going to monitor the security cameras to make sure everything was still going smoothly, even though I wasn't in Northampton. Behind me you can see this is Mallorca, and we're actually in a town called Port de Soyer. Mallorca is the largest of the Balearic Islands, which is about 125 miles from the coast of Spain. Port de Soyer is on the northwest side of the island. So just as I was getting on transportation to get to Port de Soyer, that's when I needed reception for my ability to communicate with the person that's taking care of the laundromat to let her know that she needed to put an out of order sign on top of the change machine that was now no longer working. Just as she entered the laundromat, she let me know that she was actually there. As I wanted to communicate with her, that's when we lost reception because we were going through the mountains to get to Port de Soyer. Our journey took about an hour, so I was frantically trying to text or call, but it was quite challenging because, again, the reception was not easy. So, that's one of those typical things that you have to deal with when you're traveling and you're trying to take care of a supposedly passive income business when you're 4,000 miles away. Luckily, she was able to receive the text and she was able to put a sign on the change machine that said out of order. Just an error code on one of the dryers, wanted to know what to do, so I instructed her on how to fix it, basically by just restarting the dryer, and luckily that worked. Time we were going to sleep in Europe, it was 4 in the afternoon at the laundromat, which of course is the beginning of the busy time in any unattended laundromat. I woke up several times in the night. Every time I woke up, I would check the security camera just to make sure that everything seemed to be going okay in the laundromat, which luckily it was, until laundromat has an automatic door closure and the lights go off at 9:30 in the evening. Well, it was about 10:30 when I woke up for the 3rd time and I checked the security camera and noticed that there was this large bag or cart that was basically a foot from the front door lying on its side. Something I'd never seen before in the 6 years I've owned a laundromat. So I thought, I hope something isn't terribly wrong. So I checked the security camera, rewind it to see what happened. And it turns out that someone, in spite of the sign that's on the front door saying no re-entry after 9:30, apparently they walked to their car. When they went to go back in, clean clothes were still sitting in the laundromat and it fell over right near the front door, so she couldn't actually get back into the laundromat to grab her clothes. She left me a voicemail and text. I let her know that as soon as the laundromat's open at 6 in the morning, she can grab her stuff and that it would be safe. And I would keep an eye on it because ahead of time here, so I'm able to make sure no one else takes her stuff, which in Northampton is pretty unusual anyway. While we were still fairly exhausted from our long travel, in the middle of dinner, I received a text saying dryer number 4 just went out of order and it's giving me a DSFL error. The person who sent the text also commented they think that they caused the error because they put a very wet blanket in the dryer and they think that the moisture probably caused the error because I think they had done that before and it was something that I had probably mentioned the last time that it happened. I need to communicate with the person taking care of the laundromat today to please reset that dryer. It should take care of the issue, but you never know. It may actually be something a little more advanced than just a reset on the dryer. Day 1 is a little rockier than the last time I left town for Europe because we had a change machine go out of order before I even got on an airplane. We had a dryer give an error code and a different dryer give an error code that was caused by someone that was using the dryer, knowing full well that if they put something very, very damp in the dryer, it might actually cause an issue. as it did the last time they did this. Day 2 will go a little more smoothly. Now that I've checked the finance reports, the laundromat was busy, which is good news. Having a few issues when you're only one day into your vacation, not the good news. Every 30 to 60 minutes, I'll check the security cameras for like 10 seconds just to make sure everything's going smoothly. And if there's anything I need to deal with, I'll make sure to communicate with the person taking care of the laundromat. Worst case, I can also communicate with people in the laundromat by speaking through the security cameras. Mallorca sits in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, and its clear, calm waters can help anyone forget about a challenging first day trying to manage a laundromat while on vacation. So day 2 was a little more smooth than day 1. We ended up having no big issues in the laundromat. When the assistant, her name is Madeline, when she got to the laundromat, she texted me, and we worked on resetting the dryer that was out of order. Happy to report it is now functioning. And the person who left their laundry from the night before, they ended up picking it up at about 11 the next morning, which is always interesting to me that if you leave your laundry, and you know we open at 6 a.m., either you really, really trust that we're going to take care of it as best we can, or I would think you'd want to grab it at 6 in the morning as soon as the laundromat was open. But nope, she procrastinated, grabbed it at 11, and obviously it worked out well. Throughout the day, I was checking the security camera, every 30 to 60 minutes just to make sure everything seemed to be running smoothly. In the evening, I checked about 3 or 4 times, when I was supposed to be sleeping. We did notice that there was someone still cycling through the laundromat at about 9:50. So they were there 20 minutes after the laundromat closed, the lights kicked off, the door locks, but you're able to let yourself out from within the laundromat. You just can't re-enter the laundromat. They were just waiting for their stuff to finish in the dry. And when that was finished, they ended up leaving the laundromat. It's worth noting, it's a 6-hour time difference, so I'm 6 hours ahead. So like I said, the busiest time in the laundromat is going to be between 4 p.m. and close, basically 4 to 8 p.m. or so. We close at 9:30. So it's really, the laundromat closes at 3:30 in the morning in the time zone where I am. So it is a bit of a challenge when you have that kind of time difference. But, like I said, I check the security cameras throughout the night, when I wake up, still dealing with a little jet lag. So that's how I manage the laundromat. After a rough start on day 1, day 2 was a little more smooth, and we didn't have any big issues. No one did anything that required us to have to get involved or deal with or work out or fix. I did notice that there was an increase in the transactions that I would normally see in the laundromat through the app. And that's actually a good sign. That means more people are downloading the app now that might not have otherwise. And once they're in the habit of using the app, it actually is better because then they'll come back and they'll continue to use the app. Having the PayRange app allows me to manage the laundromat long distance operationally because I can see every single transaction and what kind of revenue each machine is generating, but I can also see if a machine might not be in good state, because if someone's using machines 1, 2, and 4, and I can see them using those machines through the app, it makes me wonder, why didn't they use machine 3? Well, maybe machine 3 has a malfunction, maybe there's water, maybe it's dirty, maybe it's just not allowing them to use it because they can't see it through the app. So then it allows me to alert Madeline and tell her to please check out machine 3. Having the ability to check management reports on the back end with PayRange, it is a great management tool for me when I'm long distance. Actually, even when I'm in Northampton, I'm able to still look and see what's happening with every single machine in the laundromat. I mentioned that on day 1, someone actually had their bag and all of their laundry left in the laundromat because the door automatically locks. When they exited for whatever reason, they couldn't get back in. This is the thing where I can't ever predict how customers will interact with the laundromat. The bag was about 2 feet wide, about 2 to 3 feet high, and probably 3 feet long. So it was this big rectangular duffel bag, and it was literally 3 feet on the floor the minute you walk in the laundromat. It was standing upright, but it fell over. And so people had to walk over it. The minute you come into the laundromat, you either had to step over it or somehow step around it. Either one wasn't that easy. And I am baffled 6 people that entered the laundromat before it was picked up, but they entered the laundromat, stepped over it and around it. Never occurred to them to just pick it up and maybe push it to the side, because it was standing right in the front door, right on the floor as you walk in. I ended up getting on a security camera speaker and asking one nice person that finally responded if they wouldn't mind just picking it up and pushing it to the side, which they did, and I was grateful. But I was really surprised that just instinctively someone didn't just kind of even if they didn't want to pick it up, just kind of push it gently to the side so it's not right in the front door entrance when you walk in the laundromat. But you can't predict these things, and it's just human nature. Some people would pick it up, some people wouldn't. Obviously, the people that first entered the laundromat that morning, they were not the type that would just pick it up or push it to the side. But it is just one of those interesting things as an owner. You get to observe human behavior. 3, I'm happy to report, was pretty smooth. Only a couple little texts back and forth with Madeline. Security cameras at least 5 or 6 times during the day, and then a few times in the evening. And then of course by 3:30 in the morning my time, laundromat's closed. But everything went pretty smoothly. And I'm noticing more people are downloading the PayRange app. So those people that were holdouts because of that change machine issue, they seem to be embracing the app. And I think that's a good thing, because it's weaning people off of the cash and helping transition them into the app, which is something that some of them have not done for a few years. So hopefully they'll be happy with it and realize it's a good experience, and they don't have to worry about having cash to put into the change machine. But hopefully day 4, 5, 6, and 7 go as smoothly as day 3. In the background is Playa de Palma, which is the major beach area that's near the city of Palma, which is the capital of Mallorca. We've been very lucky. The weather has been between 65 and 70 degrees, and either partly sunny or very sunny the entire time. Day 4, there didn't seem to be any big issues, so I was happy that it seemed to be a pretty smooth day. The laundromat was quite busy. It was a Saturday, but I did notice through the management reports on PayRange app that a couple people skipped 1 or 2 machines. So for example, they'd use machines 8, 9, 10, skip 11, use 12 and 13, and I can tell because of the time the machine is used, and I can tell it's the same person using the machine. So I'll have to let Madeline know. Maybe there's a malfunction with one of the machines that they skipped. Perhaps it's dirty, maybe it smells, or they don't like the scent of the detergent that was used previously to them. So we'll take a look at that. But that's one of the advantages of using the PayRange app, is you're able to see as an owner what's happening at any given moment in time with every single machine, how many machines are being used, the amount of revenue each machine is generating. You can piece together what's happening with the laundromat based on the way the machines are being used. But hopefully day 5 will be as smooth as day 4. Unlike many countries in Europe, Spain has a laundromat culture, so we decided to use a self-service laundromat while we were there. This young woman is part of the gas station that owns the laundromat. So in order to do a laundry, I had to buy tokens that are on the counter. But what's your name?
Jelena. My name is Jelena.
Jelena, and tell us about the laundromat.
The laundry is the self-service.
Self-service, okay.
Yes. Wash machine is small, 8 kilos, and the wash machine big, 14 kilos.
14 kilos.
Yes.
And the soap?
It's inside the machine.
So it's automatically going to come out?
Yes.
Perfect. And is business good?
Yes.
You want to say hi to anybody in America or the world?
No.
No. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we have to do a self-service laundry, and let's hope this works. I have to go buy tokens at the gas station. And I'm hitting the green button, and hopefully...
Oh wait, you gotta choose the program. I don't want it hot water.
2 machines going. Boy, it's expensive. It's about $6 US I now understand my customers probably think I'm expensive. So I feel their pain, but they probably have very high utilities like I do, and rent and everything else. 30 minutes, these are smaller washers, so we'll see how it comes out, but everything's automatic, the soap, and 30 minutes later, we'll put it in the dryer. But laundromats in Spain are much smaller. They tend, in fact, this is a big one. They tend to only have 3 or 4 washers and 3 or 4 dryers. This one here has 5 washers and 4 dryers. But this is a very standard model. There's not a lot of laundromats overseas, meaning outside the United States. But Spain, for whatever reason, has a lot of laundromats, and they tend to be very small and every few miles or so. But let's see how everything works. But it's quite clean and nice and quaint. That's the whole laundromat. Day 5 was pretty smooth. I did receive a phone call at 2 in the afternoon, so 8 a.m. Northampton time, and it was someone that was wondering if I did a drop-off service, which is a wash, dry, fold. The answer is no, everything is self-service. I let them know that it's actually going to be much quicker than calling different places on a Sunday. If they just came to the laundromat, it would take an hour and 15 minutes, and they'd be done. Plus, it would cost about $5 to $10 instead of $30 to $40 because the drop-off service can be fairly pricey at $2 or $2.50 a pound. I was happy that Sunday, which is a very busy day in the laundromat, didn't create any issues. And based on the app, the management report showed me that the Pay Range app was generating a good amount of revenue for a Sunday, and the adaptation of the number of people using the app has increased. Probably because I have one of the change machines that's out and people are just beginning to use the app instead of always using cash and change. After I received the first phone call, about an hour later I received a second phone call from the same person asking if there was parking near the laundromat, which there is. There's a big parking lot across the street. There's also on-street parking, and on Sundays parking is free, so it worked out well for her, and she did end up going into the laundromat doing her laundry instead of using a drop-off service. We've been lucky, just like the laundromat's been running smoothly for the past few days. The weather here in Mallorca has been between 65 and 75 degrees. As you can see, it's been blue sky, and behind me is the city of Palma, and this is of course the Mediterranean Ocean, which is crystal clear and very refreshing to swim in. Day 6, there's nothing to report. It was very uneventful, which is exactly the way I like it. I did receive one email from somebody requesting that the laundromat might be available as an event space. So I have no idea what event, but I did tell them that I'd be more than happy to talk to them to find out what's on their mind. In the background is the port city of Palma, which is the capital of Mallorca. We're enjoying another 70-degree, beautiful blue sky day. We've hiked to the top of a castle. I think it was about 300 steps. And this is a fantastic vantage point, and you can see the port and the harbor and ocean, as well as the city in the background. Mallorca is Spain's largest island, and it is roughly 1.5 times the size of Delaware, with a population of just under 1 million residents. Day 7 was fairly smooth, although I did receive a phone call from Madeline, and I thought, uh-oh, this is it. But all she wanted to know was, what do you do with a bag that's been left for a couple days, basically a suitcase? And I told her, just stick it in the back closet, lock it up, and if someone calls in the next couple weeks, we'll happily return it. But most likely they'll never call, because the odds of somebody coming back for something after they leave it in a laundromat is almost slim to none. So we'll see what happens, but that was it, and day 7 ran fairly smoothly. The laundromat wasn't that busy because apparently I guess it was raining and snowy and pretty nasty outside, and those tend to be quiet days in a laundromat, probably almost any local business. I am currently standing in the Mediterranean Ocean, and we only have another couple days here, so hopefully everything continues to run as smoothly as it has. One of the reasons we like to travel this time of year, which is April, is it tends to be pretty good weather in a lot of different places. It's the off season in many places, and that means there's not a lot of crowds. It's a pretty good formula for enjoying travel and life. What is your name?
My name is Manuel.
Manuel. Do they have a lot of laundromats in Spain?
Yes, we have so many around the area, but are always it's very full of people. In case we have 3 or 4 machines by shop, it's very difficult
To get an open machine.
Yeah.
So what I don't understand is if they're popular, why are there only 3 or 4 machines? Why not a laundromat that has maybe 20 or 30 washers and 20 or 30 dryers?
Because the places where is exactly the shop is not so bigger. It's like more small cities, small places.
Small spaces. Do you use a laundromat?
Yeah, we use it.
How often do you use a laundromat?
2 times, 2 times by week.
Every week. So
Every week,
you
yes.
don't have a washing machine and dryer in your house.
No.
And do most people have a washing machine and dryer in Mallorca?
Yes, the most part they have for wash with water, but for dry we dry by the
outside,
yeah,
right? The
outside,
air.
yes.
Well, the air is very dry and
Yeah.
warm here, so it's perfect. Do you ever think about what we call passive income?
Yeah, I think it's a good this type of place is good and great for make a business.
Would you invest in laundromats in Spain?
Now, yes. now, yeah, of course. It's a good idea, and we need to make one bigger place, one big space.
Right, a bigger space
Yes.
to have more machines.
Yes,
So you would like to have your own business someday?
someday.
Maybe
Probably.
a laundromat.
Probably.
Maybe a laundromat.
I hope.
You're going to start the first big laundromat in Mallorca.
Yeah, maybe I can.
Excellent. Day 8 was just as smooth as day 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2. I did receive a slightly distressed text from Madeline. She wanted to know what happened to the garbage bag she placed in the garbage can. And I was a little surprised, and then realized, taking a quick review of the security camera, someone removed the garbage bag because it was raining/snowing, and they decided to use it as a rain jacket. Now, as annoying as it was sort of clever. Although I wasn't happy they did it, I can understand why, but it did create a scenario where Madeline had to remove some trash out of the bin and stick it in a new garbage bag. But otherwise, we have had a fairly smooth journey. In a couple hours, a laundromat will be open for day 9. I will be in an airplane flying home most of the day. When we land, it will be 9 p.m. laundromat time. So hopefully there won't be any big surprises when we land. What is your name?
My name is Lara.
Lara. Do you use laundromats?
I usually don't because I have a washing machine at home, so...
And do you know people do you have friends that use laundromats?
Yes, but I usually know guests from the hotel who...
Yes, from the hotel, and they go to the laundromat that we
Yes.
probably went to, which is not that far down
At
the
the
road.
gas stop.
Yeah, this is the first time I've seen a laundromat that is part of a gas station.
Yes,
And the laundromats in Spain are small.
usually, but... Well, not all the laundromats are at the guest stops. They are usually
Right.
normal locals like you have in America, but
In a neighborhood.
yes, normally yes.
And they're
And-
all small, like 3 or 4 washing machines.
Well, I have one at my neighborhood. There are like 10 washing machines.
10?
I guess.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
something
big.
Like this. Yeah.
That's pretty big.
Yeah.
And do you think it's a good business?
Here in Spain, not really. I guess there are better options to invest in. Yeah.
So what would you like to invest in if you could invest in anything in Spain?
That's a very good question. Let me think.
I know, maybe you'll give me a good idea.
Well, here, most of the young people like to hang out on weekends, so maybe something related to alcohol and
Right.
nightlife. Yeah, I guess.
Well, we are in a beach area, so alcohol and nightlife is probably a good investment. So have you thought about having your own business someday?
Yes, I thought about it many times, but I think it's a bit complicated because you need some initial
Capital.
money.
Yeah, it's expensive. Are you
Yeah.
able to save money as a young person in Spain, or is it hard because it's expensive?
Okay, in my case, it is easier because I'm still living with my parents, so yeah,
That's
I'm
much
able
easier.
to save
You're able
money.
to save. Yep.
Yeah, but some people that cannot live with their
Right.
parents, yeah, it's
So your
complicated.
friends that don't live with their parents, is it hard for them to save money?
Yes.
Yeah, I think the same is true in the United States.
Yeah.
And you're
Salaries are low, or what's the problem?
I don't think it's so much, well, salaries are never high as people would like them to be, but I also think everything has become very expensive. Rent is expensive,
Also, yes.
food is expensive, fuel is expensive. So people are just struggling to, what we say, make ends meet. So it sounds like it's similar in Spain, even in Mallorca,
Yeah,
a beautiful place
here,
like this.
Yeah, apartments. Well, there are not so many apartments for you to rent, and
Right.
the ones that are available are so expensive. Yes.
Do you have any message for anyone watching this video?
Yes, I guess. Well, if the people who are watching this, they mostly are from the United States, I think. So.
Probably yes.
Okay, so I encourage them to come here to Spain or to Mallorca and to see how's the life here and compare, and maybe they have new ideas for their businesses.
Excellent. Well, I've certainly enjoyed my stay here.
Yeah.
Thank you for talking
Thank
to
you.
us. And I hope someday you own a big business, maybe a nightclub, and I'll come visit.
Thank you so much.
This is Jason from Laundromat, the best place for brainwashing.